Okay, so this is a little tacky, but I know it's dry enough, and this is dry and ready to go. So what I'm going to do here, and I'm going to tilt this down so you can kind of see what I'm doing. This part's super important because you have to land this so it goes straight, and you're going to have to kind of pull this around as you do it because this is a taper tube, this is going to try and mount itself, and it's going to start to leave a gap at the top. You want it to not gap at the top, and you don't want any bubbles at the bottom. So this first alignment, I'm going to sit here and really look at it. And if it overlaps, if it hangs out over the top a teeny bit, that's fine. You don't want to hang out too much, because when we're all said and done, we want this neck cork to have a nice even cut all the way along the bottom, and we'll probably have to trim a little bit of the top, and that's fine. But you don't want it to like end up going like that. So I really look at it, and I will like very slowly put this down, because once I connect this cork to the saxophone, there's no going back except to rip it off and get another cork. Okay, so I've landed it. Now I'm going to press down, and then I'm going to put a little bit down. I'm going to start to wrap. And as I'm doing that, I'm pulling this up so I get this adequately up here. And then I press down. So I pull, because this will start to go this way. So I have to actually stretch it a bit, and then I press. If you don't do it this way, it will not work. Trust me. Okay. So I'm pulling this up. If you overlap it, that's fine. And then, because again, you want this back side to not have any gaps. You want the front side to not have any gaps. So this is a bit of a talent here. You have to pull this enough that you don't rip the cork, but you have to pull this enough. And as I'm pulling it, I'm attaching it, and it's sticking, and I'm pressing the back down. Press, press. We're getting close to the end here. This is where I have to glue the bevel. Okay, press, press. I'm really, really pressing this down. Okay, and now we're right at that bevel. Okay, so now I'm going to take my razor, and I'm going to just trim this a little bit. So now I can see, trim that some more. Okay, I can get a little bit closer. Just be careful that you don't cut too much of this off over here, because you can go too far with cutting the tail off. Okay, so we get to that point. Now, before I do anything else, I'm going to inspect. I have a teeny little gap here where this meets, tiny little gap. So I think I can just press that down, and then I am going to press and roll. This part's really, really important. Now, if you have any bubbles here, like if it's not quite attached, you might have to start over. If you can see part of the tube up here, you have to start over. Okay, so I've rolled that a couple times. It's nice and tight. Now I'm going to inspect the bottom here. There's glue. I can take care of that. But if you have like this actually like locked right on, but sometimes like if one of the corners is sticking out, you can come in here with a razor and just trim that. And then I will actually come up here, and I will run my razor across the top just to trim so it's nice and flush. Okay, and there's no gaps there. So right now we're on track. The next thing I will do, I lost that. Where did I put that? Here it is. This guy. This is a step that I do. I'm not sure if everybody else does it, but if you don't take care of this corner of the cork, when someone puts a mouthpiece on, they're going to rip that corner back and rip the cork off. So I take this at a 45-degree angle, and I sand all the way around. I round it a little bit. This is a good time to do it. Yamaha neck corks are notorious for not doing this, and then people put the mouthpiece on, they just slam the mouthpiece on and it starts to rip down. So sometimes I do this on corks that aren't brand new, that's, you know, just, I realize that if we're still wearing masks when you watch this video, you're not going to be able to do what I just did. But I find that I used to do that a lot. So this is where this little brush has really come in handy. Okay, so now when I go to put this on, it doesn't rip the corner down. And now I need to sand to fit. One other thing I will do is if I have this little hill here, I will actually sand that down. Because that way when I go to sand it with the sandpaper, that hill doesn't cause the whole sandpaper to not sand well. So I will go at that and just sand that hill so that's pretty level. This is where if you did not make this, if you made this obtuse angle, this is where we'd be sanding, and the glue doesn't sand. So that's why 45. There are some technicians that do a butt joint. So let me explain that real quick. When you do the cross section here, when you look straight down the hole in the neck, there's the hole, and here's the cork. Okay, so we did the overlap, right? That's inherently stronger, okay? A butt joint looks like this. I'm gonna erase. A butt joint looks like that. J.L. Smith actually does it that way. And I think on his website he has a video that shows you how to do that. I'm not a fan of this at all. This, because there's no overlap, is not as strong. So that will actually come apart. And, oh, what brand of saxophone did I have to replace neck corks on things that were only 6 months to a year old? Because they'd start, the factory did a butt joint and they'd start to come apart. I want to say it was the Selmer Aristocrats. I can't remember. One of those student model saxophones, they do butt joints and they just come apart real easily. So, okay, the next video I'm going to show you how to sand and fit, and then of course we're going to wax seal. So.